Happy Wednesday, everybody. We've got an exciting guest today. We've got Michael Curcio with us, and we are here to talk about something everybody is interested in right now, and it's healthcare. He's with the Tennessee Employer Benefit Alliance, and we are so excited to learn more about it. How's it going this morning, Michael?
Great. A little cold, but I'm doing fine. Hope you are.
Yeah, we were just talking about the single digits out there. A little unusual for Tennessee.
It is. It is. But hopefully it'll be spring soon.
Yes, we're counting down the days. Tell us about you guys call yourselves TIBA, and we won't have to say the whole words out. Tell us a little bit about what exactly is that.
Sure. Thanks for asking. TIBA was formed in 2021 by a group of large employers in Tennessee. So these are major employers across the state who self-fund their employee benefits. So a lot of people don't realize if you purchase individual health insurance, or maybe you work for a small employer, or maybe you have a handful of employees, you may buy insurance the same way you buy insurance for your house or your car. You go to an insurance company, or maybe use a broker, and you purchase a product, off the shelf, so to speak, that's an insurance plan. That's the way a lot of consumers think about health insurance. The way large companies think about health insurance is they don't do that at all. That there is no insurance company. They are their own insurance company. They use company dollars to provide a benefit to their employees. Now, it feels like a product you bought off the shelf, right? You may have a card in your pocket that says Blue Cross Blue Shield of Tennessee or Cigna or Aetna and so forth. That's because those carriers administer the plan. So they pay the claims, they provide the billing, that sort of thing. But the plan itself is all funded through company dollars. So you can imagine that's a pretty interesting game to be playing. You got to have enough employees, you got to have enough dollars going through the plan in order for that to make sense. But those employers, major employers across Tennessee, for example, some of our members, McKee Foods, they make Little Debbie cakes. Everybody's familiar with those. I know our kids gobble them up around Christmas time. They eat those Christmas trees.
Oh yeah, I gotta have those.
Yeah, exactly. So they're a major employer, not only in Tennessee. They're based in Tennessee, but they have employees all across the country. Another great example would be St. Jude's Children's Hospital over in Memphis. They're a large enough company to where they self-fund their employee benefits, design a plan, and then pay the claims as they come in. So TIBA was formed by members just like those that I referenced, as a way to advocate to the General Assembly for issues that help them keep healthcare affordable for their employees.
Mm. And so tell me more about how people can benefit from this. Like as an employee, like you said, you mentioned something like, we just think we're buying something off the shelf. And so there is more to it in the background. So tell us about that.
Sure. So one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons why a company might self-insure their benefits. Number one, first and foremost, is price. I mean, so I'm a benefits broker by day. I help my clients find employee benefits. And what I can tell you, anybody who's been doing that, whether it's the individual market or the group market, every year, it's not a question of if it's going to go up, it's how much is it going to go up. And it's not unusual for us to see fully insured renewals land on our desk, where if you want to keep everything exactly the same, you can do that, but it's going to cost you maybe 15, 20, 30. I've seen 50% increases. I've had renewals on my desk this year that are over 100% increases.
Wow.
Based on claims load, based on, pharmacy spend. It could be any number of things. And so employers increasingly are saying, enough is enough. I don't want to play this game anymore. And they found that they can find efficiencies if they self-insure. The other thing about this, and this may interest some of your viewers, there are a lot of federal and state level mandates that are passed by well-meaning lawmakers, but they say, okay, if you're going to have a health insurance plan, it's got to cover X, it's got to cover Y, it's got to cover Z. All of those things are well-intentioned, but when you force the market to artificially behave in a way, what you're doing is you're raising premiums and you're raising prices. The kind of largest example of this were the mandates built into the federal Affordable Care Act. And so one of the things that's nice about self-funding your plan is that you can still provide high quality level of benefit that meets actuarial value, that's compliant, that provides a need, but that does not have to comply with all of the specific mandates that are built into that federal law. So all of these self-funded plans are governed by a 50-year-old federal law called ERISA, which if I talked any longer about ERISA, everybody would fall asleep. Nobody would tune in. It's like watching paint dry. But the summary is this was passed in 1974, and it basically says that large employers that have employees in multiple states who self-fund their plans do not have to deal with a patchwork of regulations. So Tennessee can't pass a law that says, okay, if you have employees in Tennessee and you're in a ERISA plan, it's got to look like this, because then you've got a different level of benefit for somebody who lives in Missouri or Arkansas or Alabama or so on and so forth. So you can imagine for these multi-state employers like McKee Foods or even St. Jude's Children's Hospital, that could become very problematic very quickly. One of the things that we're seeing too, if you want to kind of think about things we're seeing in the news, you've got high regulation states like California, Illinois, New York that pass very, very onerous employer mandated laws. What those states are trying to do is pierce the veil of ERISA, pass laws that preempt ERISA, so that states like Tennessee, who maybe don't want to be as onerously regulating their employers, would then have to comply with that California law if they successfully pierce the veil of ERISA. So TIBA really formed in the wake of a rash of ERISA preemptions across the country, and some attempts, believe it or not, here in Tennessee to preempt ERISA, to say, hey, Tennessee gets to play by the rules we want to play by. We don't have to implement rules that are put in places like California, New York and others. That's the whole point of ERISA. And so that's why these particular employers would have banded together to say, hey, look, we like federal law just the way it is, and we want to make sure that we can keep a standard level of benefit for all of our employees, regardless of where they're located.
Yeah, I feel like you've touched on this a little bit, and we'll kind of close this out because I think you've given us a lot of information. But tell people like how their families here in Tennessee can benefit from this.
Sure. So one of the main issues that we worked on last year and in the year before was a lot of these self-insured companies have found that if they can operate, for example, an in-house pharmacy, St. Jude's Children's Hospital is a great example of this. McKee Foods, another great example of this, where when benefit plans, you think of it as, okay, I've got a benefit card in my pocket. I go to the pharmacy, I get my prescription. If it's generic, it's $5. If it's a name brand, it's $25. Whatever your benefit is, right? Everybody's familiar with that. And so as the consumer, it's easy to think, okay, this pill's $25. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. Your plan is actually paying some much, much higher price for that. And they're only passing along to you your standardized copay or your cost share, or what have you. So just like anything else, if you buy in bulk, the price goes down, right? It's the reason we all go to Costco. So large employers found over the years that, hey, if we can use a third-party vendor that operates a pharmacy, this is staffed by pharmacists. It's not like, amateurs doing this, right? They're companies that do this. They set up what's called an in-house pharmacy. Then that employer, for example, if you're on a high-cost medication like a Humira, or I told, if your medication is advertised during a golf tournament, it's a specialty, right? Expensive, right? And so while you may pay a specialty copay, which seems high and is high, maybe it's $200, maybe it's $300. That's a high copay. The actual cost of that drug could be more than $100,000 or $200,000 a year. We've seen specialty meds that are in the 6 digits per month. And so you can imagine if that employer could operate, say, their own in-house pharmacy, where they could drive down the pricing by using, a sole source network, buying in bulk, getting that price down. Then what they were doing is they're saying, okay, if you'll use our in-house pharmacy, which you don't have to, it's not a requirement, but if you'll use our in-house pharmacy, instead of charging you, say, your $300 specialty copay, we're going to charge you $0. Now, why would they do that? Because behind the scenes, when they're able to buy in bulk, they can get $100,000 medication for maybe $50,000 or $45,000. So the savings to the company, which remember is the insurance company, we're not talking about Blue Cross's money here. We're talking about McKee Foods money or St. Jude's Children's Hospital's money. Then the savings is so great that they don't really care if they get your $300 cost share, right? They just want that big savings. And so there's been a wave of laws being passed across the country to try to curtail this as a protectionist move to protect independent pharmacies, those sorts of things. What we would argue is that we just want to let the market be the market, right? My family has been in the builder supply business for 120 years in Tennessee. And when I was a kid, we sold paint, we sold screwdrivers, we sold nails. We had consumers coming in there buying those everyday goods. We don't sell that stuff anymore because Home Depot and Lowe's does a great job of undercutting us, right? We sell lumber to builders. Um, in the same way, the state of Tennessee didn't step in to protect my ability to sell paint, right? We're just out of that business now. And so what we would say is we don't need these protectionist laws. We need the market to function properly. And that keeps healthcare affordable and low cost for Tennesseans. Because don't forget, when you increase the cost to the plan, they have no choice but to pass it on to their employees at some point. I mean, they can't absorb all of it. So either
Right.
premiums are going to go up or cost shares are going to go up.
Mhm. Wow, that's a lot to think about. It obviously healthcare affects everyone.
It
Whether
does.
you may not have an illness now, you could in the future, or things come up all the time. So this is really interesting topic. There's a place where you can find out more, and if you want to be involved, you can do that as well. Tell us about that.
Yes. So we have a website. It's tneba.com. tneba.com stands for Tennessee Employer Benefit Alliance.com. We do regular blog posts there. You can sign up to be on our email newsletter. We don't spam you to death, but we do send out 1 or 2 pieces a month. We also keep our members apprised of what's going on in the General Assembly. And so, we don't have one particular issue. We talked about pharmacy today because that's been sort of the preemption of late. But don't forget, ERISA is also what protects your 401k plan. It protects your pension plan. It's any employee benefit. And so what TIBA is here to say is, hey, we need to leave ERISA the way it is so that we don't have to start complying with onerous regulations that are sneaking in from other states.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot. You guys must be really busy because that's a lot to undertake.
It is. And especially as you have, more left-leaning states wanting to sort of retaliate to what's going on, at the federal government with a Republican administration in charge, and then vice versa, right? So states pass laws all the time to try to counterbalance what they see as a problem in Washington. Whether that's a problem for the consumer, is often left out, right? So, the consumer is typically left holding the bag when governments start fussing with each other. So we're just trying to prevent that.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for joining us this morning and being so informative. You guys go check out that website, and we will see you soon. Bye,
Thank you
everybody.
very much.